All right, guys, welcome to Beyond the Muscle. And yeah, we've got a fun topic today. We're going to be chatting about relationships and relationships during the contest prep specifically, and kind of how to best navigate or manage relationships in prep. So yeah, this will be a fun one. But yeah, before we do, how are you guys doing? Who's been training today?
That'll
I'm going
be
to
me.
train. Oh, go on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Wednesday, so yeah, legs. So yeah,
Is it? Oh yeah, of course. Was it Wednesday? We did it last time. I can't remember.
yeah. It's so far, yeah. It seems like it's
Right.
like every time we do a podcast now. So yeah,
Mm.
So you'll be mentally drained and no energy for
Yeah.
training.
Mm. How
Yeah,
about
I'm
you
going to
doing?
train.
Train today?
Yeah, training later on. It's a push day today.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was Wednesday. Obviously, bodybuilder, so specific training days on specific days. But yeah, I'll be training later on.
Yeah, you're doing your mini cut as well. You're looking pretty getting quite lean
yeah.
now. Or maybe not
Under
obviously bodybuilding lean, but you're yeah, things are
Under
happening. It's
the
cool.
specifically under the lighting in the gym, I look all right. It takes about an hour to set up the overhead light, but yeah,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's going pretty well. I think I've probably got another. I'm 80. Oh, I've just dipped under 88 kg. I'm probably gonna
Mm.
get down to about 85 kg. So
Yeah.
just a couple more kgs left.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, good. No, you're looking good. It's funny. I think as you get into the off season and you get softer, it can really cloud, it can really hide things. It's I'm seeing that now, or at least I'm hoping that's what's happening, or I'm just looking more and more shit. I don't know, but yeah, it's good to do a mini cut and see reveal what's underneath. Yeah, I'm actually experimenting at the moment with training shoulders 5 times a week because I train shoulders twice, but on every other day where I'm not training, I'm actually doing some lateral raises in the evening, just 3 sets to failure, basically. Just I think, yeah, it's so important to have good delts as a bodybuilder, and I want to see. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run this experiment for a month and see how it goes. But yeah, already I think there's some differences happening. So yeah, could be cool.
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's not the topic we're gonna go on, but like how like ridiculously important is delts, like really good delts, and then also some sweeping quads.
Mm, yeah.
If you got that, I don't even care what class you're doing.
Mm,
Classic, like open, even men's physique, it doesn't matter. Like if you got those two things,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
like
pronounces
first
everything.
impressions, isn't it? Because like on a front relax, you see the front delts, you see the lats, and yeah, you're right. You see those quads as well, don't you? Those lateral quads. So yeah, relationships in a contest prep. So before we start, Sarah mentioned this to me before. She said what you needed to do was actually get your partners on, get your wives on, because that's going to really tell us what it's like. So I spoke to Sarah, and she gave me a bit of an insight into what it was like from her perspective living with me on prep as a wife of a bodybuilder. And she said she made a few things, a few notes. None of them were positive. They're all negative. But basically, she said it was like someone had stolen my body and was kind of pretending to be me, basically.
That
And
is
it was a
excellent.
good impression. And yeah, I had no energy to do the base anything outside of the basic things. I'd lost my kind of fun side, my liveliness. I was still there, but she'd also used the term of like I was a shell of my former self. Now, I was a lot better last year than in 2015, but yeah, you can't go through a whole contest prep without suffering some kind of effect that your partner or significant other is going to notice. Buddy, I'll be curious to hear from. We'll start with you, like you, Josh. What from like your wife's perspective? What was it like for her living with you on prep?
So yeah, obviously, funny thing is I've already like asked my wife this before in the past, and yeah, it's very similar. Only difference is we actually met dating, and I was about to start my pre-prep, and then like while we were actually really dating, I was doing my prep for my 2016 season as well,
Right. Yeah.
which obviously you know about. So
Mm,
then that's when you were coaching me.
mm,
And yeah, so she's got to see it from where she's not seeing me every day because we're not married yet, just dating, and then also from when we actually are married as well. And still very similar in regards to it was like, I know you're Joshua,
yeah.
but this guy I'm getting nowadays, I can't tell. And yeah, it's very similar as well. 2020, which was a failed prep, just simply because of COVID, so I decided to pull out. And 2021, 2022, she was like, "Yeah, 100%, you were a lot better and
Mm,
managed it without doubt." However, it's still very clear that you're not exactly that the whole Joshua I know. And I think that's the best. A shell of himself is she didn't go that far. It was more like it's like imagine if someone just took a bit from you and it's like,
mm,
we're just gonna leave this here. And then when prep's done, we'll put it back in, that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
obviously with her, then obviously when we were married and she was living with me, she noticed it even more in regards to how different things were. And also just because again, the kind of person I am like my wife always jokes about this, but I don't do too well at trying to manage a lot of things at once.
Right.
So if I am dedicating to like one or two things, that is it. Like literally, you can tell. And anything else is going to be a struggle. So when prep happens, obviously that's going to take some priority. No matter how much you're trying to make it look like, oh, it's not number one or it's not number two, it's number three. For me, there's only like one or two things I can really hone in on. So if prep is one of them, yeah,
Hmm.
other things are going to suffer a bit. So yeah, she's like, yeah, it's so obvious with that sense. But yeah, did get better on as it went on. And apparently when we were dating, it didn't scare her off. So there we go.
Yeah, you did something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. How about you, Dean?
So similar, I'd echo a lot what Josh said. My prep last year was the first prep that I'd been in with my partner. I think we got together in like 2022. So yeah, it was the first actual contest prep.
Mm.
And if going back to previous relationships when I've gone through prep, I wasn't the best. Well, obviously, the first time you go into a prep, you don't have any expectation of what it's going to be like, so you can't
Yeah.
communicate it. But I probably wasn't the best at communicating things, so I was really upfront with like what she was getting herself in for. I
Right.
say I say what she's getting herself in for. I think that's something that we don't consider when we're younger, maybe, or when we're inexperienced. But even rightly or wrongly, they are in prep with you. Like for
Mm.
example, like the isolating feelings when you can't go out for a meal, or if you go out for a meal, you got it. Well, for me, I tend not to go out for a meal deeper in prep. So for example, if I can't go out for a meal, that often means she can't go out for a meal. So it's quite
Yeah.
an isolating thing for the partner as well. But as I said, I really like communicate all these things to her, and
Mm.
everything everything went as well as it could have done, given that my prep was like I think January to October last year,
Yeah.
and we a lot of travel in between because I did 6 different countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we managed it as well as we could have done. But certainly when I was younger, when I first started prep, that I wouldn't have been able to have done that successfully or as successfully. She definitely towards the end of it was tired of the whole thing. If I asked her to describe me, I think just the common things like more irritable, a little bit less patience, and like Josh said, you prep is becomes all consuming. So you're
Yeah.
really fixated on one thing, and it's difficult to get that balance in other areas as well.
Yeah, that's true. And you're right, it does. You can't get away from that feeling of it being like all consuming. And I think of it now because I often think I'm deep in the off season, but I think about bodybuilding every single day for a long part of the day. Like it enters my mind 50 times a day. Like, what kind of training am I doing today? And yeah, what meals I got to eat. Bodybuilding is always on your mind, even in the off season. So when you're on prep, it just gets ramped up to a whole other level. So yeah, people need to be aware of that, especially partners. And yeah, I think we're lucky. We've obviously all got supportive partners as well, which is like a prerequisite of yeah, managing like a good relationship in prep. That's something I wanted to delve into a little bit. So like what a good relationship either with your significant other and or with kids what that should look like and I've made like a few notes here on this as well, so I think it's important because
Yeah,
yeah,
I've got I've
yeah,
I've,
yeah,
I've got
can't
what
go
it's. I've
on.
got a question for you on this one, Anthony,
Yeah,
because
yeah, cool.
I think you're the only one that's got kids out of the three of
Mm.
us. That we know, obviously, but no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
joke. So, do you like expanding on that? Do you build in any aspects of prep with your children as well? For example, like maybe meal prepping, getting them involved with it, and things like that, or
You know what? Not really, because meal prepping, I'm anomalous in this regard because I don't actually meal prep like most other bodybuilders.
okay,
Like I
okay,
don't batch cook my food for the week. I literally just I do eat a lot of the same foods, but because of the nature of my job, I'm a self-employed PT, but I still spend quite a bit of time at home in between clients. So I can have breakfast, I can go out, and then I can come back and have food. So meal prep is not really a thing for me. So I didn't really get the kids involved in that sense. However, like they would see me posing around the house quite a lot, which is weird in and of itself. And they would want to get involved with that. Like Jamie would start doing like the quarter turns and all that, and that was quite fun. And I think getting the kids involved is a really cool thing to do in
Mhm.
prep. And obviously getting your partner in, the partner has to be involved. 'Cause they've got to tan you. I think as well. If you do the BNBF shows, they're usually
Yeah,
the ones that end up tanning you, which is I say both a blessing and a curse. I think it's just a curse, isn't it really? But yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No,
no,
I did get
I'll
the
say
kids
it's a
involved.
blessing. Right, I've got my personal talent. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. It's a blessing
yeah,
for
it's good
us.
for
So,
us. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, what should a good relationship in prep look like? Yeah, we'll start with you, Dean. What do you think? Yeah, a good relationship should look like.
Yeah, I think having the communication. So
Mm,
it's going to be situational, depending on the relationship and the dynamics and things. And I think it does differ. It does differ depending on what kind of stage in life you're at. Obviously, I think if you're in your early 20s, it's a little bit easier to maybe have a more distant relationship versus maybe
mm,
when you're older. If you're living together, if you've got children, things like that, you're in each other's pockets, and like there's going to be a lot more potential for friction and things.
yeah.
But I think the main thing is, again, communication and empathy from your side of things, because people, I think it's easy when you're going through something difficult. It's easy to feel like a victim, or feel like, oh, this prep is really difficult for me. And objectively, it's more difficult for you than another person going through prep. For example, if
Mm,
you're living with somebody, if you're the one, you're in a deficit, you're dropping body fat, you've got low energy levels, sleep is suffering, like all the negatives of prep. But you've also got to be empathetic to the other person, because
yeah.
they're going through things, negative things, through no fault of their own, and it's not their decision to do it.
Mm,
So you've got to really, again, like have that empathy for that other person, of being like, right, okay, even though this is difficult for me right now, I've still got to show up for them if I can do. And I think good relationships, or good practices I have in relationships during prep, would be management of time, and
mm,
almost having to schedule in time with the other person, because it doesn't come easily. Like, all you want to do is whatever it might be, but like everything is going to be towards bodybuilding, like meal prep, cardio training, and just generally posing. Loads of things that you can do to contribute towards bodybuilding, and you've almost got to take a step back and be like, right, okay, this portion of this day, or this evening, or whatever it might be, I'm going to spend time with them. It's going to be uninterrupted, and make them feel like you're still in a relationship. And again, I touched on it before in terms of meals out and things. This is a personal thing. I tend to meal prep my food. I had a couple of meals out, off-plan meals in prep last year, but
yeah.
personally, I would rather not do than do
Yeah.
it. So really appreciating that when we do have those off-plan meals, or if there is an off-plan meal, really involving them and being really present during that time, and trying to make them feel as little, or as less isolated as possible.
Mm,
But yeah, again, like communication, let them know what to get themselves in for, let them know how you're feeling. So if you're having
mm.
an off day, you're not in a bad mood with them in any way, shape, or form. You've just got low energy, so you don't feel like talking, and maybe just like setting that boundary, I guess, um, and hoping for the best, hoping that they're understanding.
Yeah, such a good point. And you're right, you have to make room for those like romantic things like date nights and stuff because they're not going to happen as sporadically in a contest prep because yeah, it's hard to do. So yeah, you have to schedule those in 100%. That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, what about you, Josh?
Yeah, 100%, communication is going to be the key thing there. And I think as well, the main thing here is, I know the question is like, oh, good, what it would look like. I think it's obviously the main thing here is what it's going to look like for you and your partner. That's
Mm,
what you need to decide as well, because um, I think I go back to again the fact that I've done it while I was dating my wife, and then also while we were married. And I think the thing I noticed when we we're dating was clearly I cared about this person because I was trying to make an effort with certain
mm,
things. Because, hey, if you're just dating someone and you're not really, it's like, I'm not too sure, this, that, with them, the amount of times you probably be like, oh, yeah, I know we're meant to meet this weekend. I
mm,
can't bother, when
mm,
really it's just because
Mm.
you're quite, it's been a big week of digging, just train legs. You just, all you can think about is just having your little refeed by yourself, watching this, whatever, probably watching a bodybuilding show as well, or whatever this
mm,
is that. Like, you got other things you want to do, and you just don't want to use your energy with that person. Whereas, while we're dating, I still wanted to, and that was like, okay, so this is someone I clearly care about. So,
yeah.
with that in mind, this is where the communication thing comes in, like Dean is saying, and the whole like actually letting them know in regards to what you do feel will be happening, might happen, etc., all that kind of stuff. And then also while the prep is going, it's again, it's you're accountable in regards to how much you want to be aware of certain things.
Mm,
Because again, we've all been there. It's very easy in prep to just decide, I'm on prep.
mm,
Got this big excuse. It doesn't matter, this is that. It's just little things like, oh, you're not really saying much. You
mm,
could just be thinking, well, what do you expect? I'm on
yeah.
I'm on 100 grams of carbs. Why do you
Yeah.
want me to talk more? Are you silly? I've got to save this. All right. I still got legs tomorrow. I still got
Mm.
back. This is that. I got posing practice to do. There's all these kind of things, you know. And I think this is where, again, like when I work with my clients, especially the ones who are new to it, first timers and everything, trying to get them to understand, you know, this is really on you. It's not the partner is not asking anything crazy here. This, you know,
Mm,
just the normal communication would be nice at least.
yeah.
You know, it's not like they're expecting you to, yeah, let's go do some activity every day of the week. If you weren't doing that before, like why would they expect that anyways? But
Yeah.
you know, it's just the little things that you would expect in a relationship. He or she, again, you know,
Hmm.
whoever's watching this as well. So I think, yeah, that's why the communication thing is, but then the accountability through it is going to be important as well. And I think for me as well, again, because I was like being aware of these kind of things. I already knew going into our prep when we were married, I knew there were certain things I had to consider in regards to how I want this prep to be going. So, for like example, certain things we did in our marriage as a religion, in the sense of like we had date nights, or like
Hmm.
Friday night was always this, or that kind of thing. You know, we had
Yeah.
burger nights, that kind of stuff that we're always doing. I knew that, okay, this would be cool if we can still be including something like this,
Mm,
but rather than just sticking about the religion as in like, oh, tick box, we did date night, and I wasn't really there, you know,
mm,
I wasn't present at all. I was just, oh, we did it, boom, whatever, that kind of stuff. And yeah, we didn't really have burgers because I had my meal, you had your burger, this is that and
mm,
everything. I made it in again in regards to focusing more on the relationship rather than the actual religion itself. So it was like, for example, for the first time while we were married, because again, my wife is someone who's very caring and very and all that. She loves to cook for me. She is
mm.
just someone who generally that's what she would love to do. You know, she actually hates it when like I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna have oats. You know, this is that.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, what are you doing having oats? It's like really and truly, it's like I want to make something for you. So like getting her to understand, all right, look, you know, chicken like that I would like to have, you know, if you just don't cook it in oil, you know, and stuff like that, you just stick in the air fryer with this and that, season it however you want, you know, surprise me. Season is cool.
Hmm.
I'm good with that, all that kind of stuff. She knew these kind of things. So I educated her a bit on these kind of things. So she could cook, you know, and then prep my meals essentially. So like some of it is done by her and I just need to weigh it out later on. So, and again, this is where I need to be flexible. If I'm someone who's like, no, I only work with raw weight. I can't do cooked weight for my prep and everything.
Mm,
You know, when I'm actually trying to make sure I'm hitting my macros. Again, this is some leeway you need to have here. You can't just be
mm.
so rigid with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's if you want to, like I said. And this is like stuff, like I said, I made the intention of doing during our prep. So including her in the preps, things like the date nights, it was just a bit different, you know. We started having chicken burgers, homemade chicken burgers that we made, you know, and
Mm,
fries that we put sweet potato in the thing and everything. She enjoyed that still because it was never about, oh, we got to have this big five guys burger or whatever. It was always the what we me and you actually there, you know,
yeah.
interacting, you know, the night together, everything. We go watch something and we'll have something on while we're watching. This is that. And rather than me just saying, oh, I'm here and I'm falling asleep watching whatever we're watching and, you know, not really, not really listening to her or anything like that. Again, it was just me being intent with, all right, what is it exactly in the relationship that I really want to hold on to during the prep? And I think that's what it boils down to. And I think finally, with all of this, is I think really going through a prep with a partner is a great way to really understanding how much your relationship, like where your relationship is,
Mm,
because it challenges it. No matter what, it's going to challenge it.
yeah.
And and this is where, like I said, I know we've been talking about from our point of view a lot, but I think a lot of us will agree if the partner is not willing in any way as well, and they're just like, this is not for me, fair play. Like that's it, you know, and that's gonna happen with some people, you know, that can happen there. But don't think it's the prep that ruined it. It's just
Mm,
something that is just, you know, it's shown that you guys need to see you're not really on the same page there.
yeah.
And that's with anything in life. You know, there's people who are not bodybuilding, but other things happen in their life where it's helped them see in their relationship. Yeah, we were way off here, that kind of stuff.
Mm,
You know, I really do appreciate this in a partner, and you
mm.
really don't show that. You know, that kind of thing. So, yeah,
I
those are
think
the key things I definitely had a lot to think about when we were actually married, because she did point out a lot of things while we are dating during the prep. And I was like, all right, what do I want to work on here? And why do I want to as well? I mean, if I don't care, then no, I don't, that's it. I'm just doing my prep. It's about me. Deal with it. That's it there. And, you know, if I wanted a woman who was just going to be like never challenging me, is okay with that. It's just like, I come home, it's like, hey, how you doing? You're right, you're live? Okay, cool, no worries. Can I talk? No? Oh, all right, no problem. I don't want that. I obviously wanted, I married her for a reason, so I needed to make sure I can work with her as well.
Yeah.
But there's some really good things to highlight there that you said. I think one of them, two analogies that you can kind of use there. One, in prep, it will shine a magnifying glass on your relationship.
Mm.
So if there are any cracks, it's going to kind of be shown. And also, everybody loves the environment. What is it? The environment loads the gun. No, whichever way around. But essentially, the prep will load the gun, but your
Mm.
relationship, like strength or stability, will pull the trigger. Maybe not the best analogies for using, but there was something else I wanted to say about the situation as well. I think what you said about your partner. So if the kind of quote unquote like love language or like one of the ways to show appreciation is through cooking, then being able to build that in and not being so rigid. Like I was talking about being rigid in terms of not having off-plan meals. But I think if my partner really enjoyed cooking for me, I would be like, right, okay, let's build that into a relationship. I'm gonna have some flexibility in that regard, knowing that it's a variable you can tweak and control enough to still make all the progress you need to make. Um, so yeah, but definitely, I think some people it's a tricky one to set people's expectations, but I think sometimes people they might be in they might be in a good relationship and they just haven't got enough experience with prep or whatever it might be. But they've got enough difficult, they've got a lot of difficulty with prep, and they might. I think I've seen it before where people will let a relationship slip, not because the relationship should have slipped, but because they were just in a bad situation at the time.
Mm.
And yeah, like I said, like maybe when people are in their early 20s and they're not as committed, it's easier to kind of just set some distance away from people.
Mm.
But yeah, some really good points there that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Go on, Josh. What were you gonna say?
As well, and the boundaries as well is quite key. So, like you were saying that, yeah, again, just explaining what we meant by rigid versus being flexible. But there's also, like I said, there's the boundaries. I told my wife, like, there's no way around 12 weeks out, 8 weeks out, am I going to start be doing off plans here and there and doing this and all that. That it's going to be a lot more limited, that kind of thing.
Mm.
I didn't even do off plans. It was always, everything was pretty much calculated. So when we were still going out to eat, early on in the prep, I'm still trying to track things as much as I can. I'm guesstimating, or I'm even going by, like with Nando's, you can pretty much guesstimate most of that, with what they give you anyways, and other places where where pretty much thanks to, the new laws regarding restaurants trying to put up a bit more information of their macronutrients, etc. But yeah, closer to prep, I was like, at this point, that's going to be very limited, in that sense. And even to the point where, going to family gatherings and stuff like that. Because again, as we both know, most of your bodybuilding preps are going to happen during a very important time of the year, the summertime.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
and families gatherings are very key at that time. And again, as much as I've told her this, prepped her for this and everything, and this is something I always tell my clients, when it comes to the first people really close to you, make sure you do all of that.
Yeah.
And also if you need to, again, tell them again and all stuff like that. Just keep reminding them as it starts getting a bit more outside of that close knit, your little ones they love, like I said, like me and my wife, my partner there. When it came to my in-laws, it was like I told him, then I told him again, and then he was like, I'm just jokingly telling them because at this point it's like you can just tell it doesn't matter. Like they
Mhm.
always
Yeah,
gonna be like, why are you not eating? Why are you not doing
Mm.
this? Do you even eat anything? Still probably eating twice as much as you do, but I'm just
Mm.
eating in a more structured way. And like, do you want this? Do you want that? Like I love my mother-in-law, absolutely do. But she literally was telling me every time during prep, she's like, I don't like the way you look. You look sick. Like this and that. And I'm just like, I love you, but like, do you really think I want to be hearing that? That's
Mm.
there. But what did I do? Did I just decide to stay at home every time we are going to go see my in-laws? No, I'm like, I'm okay with accepting this. She
Yeah.
loves me. It's not her having a dig at me, all right? Like that kind of thing. And if anyone knows African parents, it's just natural for them to always worry about eating enough, especially as a
Mm.
man.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
the point where there was in one time at church, someone literally went, "Isn't your wife cooking for you?" And I was like, "Jesus."
Mm. Yeah.
And my wife was like,
Amazing.
"Do not, no, not
Yeah.
touch this one." Like this is there. But so yeah, no, again, like you're gonna like the whole communicate and everything, but when it comes to outside of your partner, yeah, just know it's gonna be all over the place. Don't expect things to be that that simple in regards to they'll be understanding and they will get it and they'll also be
Mm.
a bit more like flexible. Like no, there is no, we're not really doing this on date night anymore. No, it's like you're here. eat what I'm making you. Let's just sit there, that kind of stuff. And if they obviously clearly can't accept that, then okay, I probably won't be able to go for this or that because clearly for them, they're like, no, you can't. Whereas with
Mm.
my in-laws and everything, they accepted I can't, but didn't mean they
Mhm.
won't keep asking.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, they will still shove a spoon in my face, like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, I did say,
Yeah.
like, no. So yeah.
Yeah, great points. Yeah, you both touched on a couple of things there, and that I think the flexibility thing is key. I think not being so rigid is probably a good thing for most bodybuilders. I know a lot of younger bodybuilders are super rigid with tracking everything. And obviously, we all track everything, but I think as you get more experienced, you're aware that okay, you can have meals that don't fit into like the 5 or 6 foods you eat every single day. You can have some other bits here and there, and if anything, I think it's a good opportunity to experiment with different foods earlier in prep, so you know how you're going to react to them, later down the line. And I think, yeah, if you can have the extra level of flexibility, it just makes things a bit less stressful. I ate out quite a lot during, as Josh knows, like during prep last year. And I was still tracking. I was still tracking everything. Yeah, was it 100% accurate? Yeah, probably not, but it was probably 90% there. And I think it's a good thing to do. It means you can still be a husband, a partner, and it just makes things a lot easier. Yeah, I do think a drastic change in physique shouldn't mean like a drastic change in behavior. Definitely, you can still be you, just a slightly kind of altered version. But yeah, you both touched on that as well. Like, people need to know what you're doing. You need to communicate what you're going to be doing and what they can expect as well. And obviously the other thing, kind of almost like the elephant in the room at the contest prep, is like the whole libido thing, because that is gonna take a bit of a nosedive. And obviously we don't need to go into too much detail here, but obviously as body fat gets lower, the that starts to become altered, and one should make up for it in other ways, I suppose, other romantic endeavors. So yeah, that is a thing as well. So yeah, onto the topic of the difference in prep, like the early stages versus like prep recently, which we kind of touched upon there. So yeah, a few things to say with this. So in my first prep in 2015, I was married to Sarah, but we had no kids at that point, lack of experience, and yeah, I just started social media. Then I just kind of created an Instagram account to kind of document my progress, and I definitely felt like a pressure then that I don't feel now. Yeah, so things were different, and yeah, I can say that I wasn't the best during that prep. I didn't do enough with Sarah, and yeah, bodybuilding was taken over, which I think you can expect being that it's the first prep. Compared to last year, which, yeah, like I mentioned, I ate out a lot. We went on holidays and, yeah, did various things together as a family. Still room for improvement, but it was much better. I think part of that comes with just being older as well. I was 9 years older in my second prep, so I was essentially a different person. But yeah, from your guys' perspective, like what are some of the differences between, yeah, prep in your early 20s versus a prep when you have more commitments when it comes to relationships?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I've got a couple of things, I guess. One, when I was younger, and whether this is just maturity improving it or whether it's through experience of prep and things, when I was younger, I was definitely more selfish. And I almost had like a mentality of like, it's me versus the world. Whereas
Mm,
nowadays, and I think this is a very common thing with people in prep anyway, where they feel like everyone's against them or whatever. But
yeah,
not,
true.
I wasn't that extreme, but nowadays I try and think about how I can achieve the goal of stepping on stage with like the least amount of impact on other people, and particularly like relationships. So that's definitely one way of improved. And again, like I say, I think it would have naturally happened over time, becoming more mature. But I think having the experience of prepping in relationships and identifying the problems and where you can kind of improve, that definitely has maybe accelerated the process or given me a better appreciation of it. And something Josh touched on before as well in terms of the first prep when you were dating versus the prep when you were married. And I think you touched on the lessons that you learned from the first prep and how you improve that for the second prep. And that, I think that does happen as well. Obviously, well, that's an obvious statement, but you do get better at prepping and you do get better at managing relationships in prep. But yeah, certainly I've just, as I said in the opening answer or question really, is I've just got a much deeper understanding of communication, boundaries, having empathy for another person. I mean, generally trying to get as much, like allowing some flexibility to coexist with the rigidness of prep. So trying to have
Mm,
as much flexibility as what's reasonable, and kind of treating it like I used to always think about things in a binary sense, like everything was like an on-off switch. Whereas now I think of it like a dimmer switch. So, like you say, in prep, as you're dialing down in the weeks, like 20 weeks, whatever, however long, but like 20 weeks, 12 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, it gets the dimmer switch tightens and tightens and tightens, and you've got to tighten your variables as well. So it's a case of as we're getting closer to stage, I know I've got to be much more, or I've got to be more intentional with my expenditure and my energy conservation. Let's say with my nutrition, which I'm generally pretty good with anyway. And again, communicating that with the partner. Whereas before in previous preps, it was just only thinking about myself. So it was like, right, okay, these are my objectives today. The objectives are cardio, eat these 5 meals, 6 meals, whatever it might be, training, and then everything else was just an afterthought. Like relationships was an afterthought. Whereas now it would be kind of like, right, okay, manage the relationship, get my cardio and get my steps in, get my food in type thing. So yeah, just having a deeper appreciation for that other person. That's probably the biggest way I've improved.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, love that. I love that analogy as well, the dimmer switch. That makes sense. Yeah. What about you, Josh? I know you've touched on it as well, but yeah, how
No,
are you
yeah, I mean,
different?
some very good points there from Dean, especially with the dimmer switch there. And again, like he mentioned in regards to you get better at dieting. I think with prep, I think I've done a post with this on this in the past where it's like, dieting is actually a skill. So you're obviously going to get better at it when you get, when you're doing it. And that goes with prep and everything with it in regards to managing relationships and everything that goes around when you're doing the prep. So I think clearly, this is what has helped me in the sense I've done so many preps now.
Mm,
Uh, I do, like, when it came to 2021, 2022, it was obviously 10 times better because I've done it so many times now. And she was again able to notice that I improved on that just simply because, again, of how I've done things in the past versus then versus now. But again, it goes to that word of intent there as well, because it's up to you if you want to work on those things, because you can get better in these certain things of prep that obviously you want to, with regards to like managing hunger, stuff like that,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. But then if you like, I don't really care about relationship, then yeah, you're not really going to
Mm,
improve, are you? Because like I said, it's down to you. Your partner can't get better at it for you. That's it there. You shouldn't be expecting your partner to be willing to sacrifice a lot as well for that. It's like no. Although again, this is probably what I guess we'll all I'm pretty sure we'll agree on is even though we're talking about us and everything like that, we are pretty blessed in the sense that our partners clearly they do cater to helping us with
mm,
our prep. They do kind of change things a bit. Maybe even though we're getting better at it and etc. This is that. They'll probably realize, yeah, it's Moody Josh now. Let's leave
mm,
him for a bit. He might not need that whole when I always like to dig. He's got energy. You can do. I can do that. Right now, it's probably not a good time. So I'll ease off it. This is that. Yeah. Oh, my mom asked to come around. I know he's 2 weeks out. I know he's in peak week. I'm not even gonna
mhm.
ask him. I'm just gonna go around, let him know I'm going around. This is that. And I'll see him later because I know he probably just wants to chill at home now after church and just not have to think about going out having to eat beforehand or having to wait 4 hours before he can eat and he's just having Coke Zero, sipping
Mhm.
on that Coke Zero for the whole period or whatever. All
Yeah.
these kind of things. So yeah, I think that's a big factor here in regards to again, it will expose that in your relationship.
Yeah.
And I think most people in prep that would say, yeah, it was partner was great. It's not that we survived it. It was fine. We could, it was nothing, that kind of stuff. It takes two, clearly it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But I think also another key thing here, and let's add in regards to keep a focus towards how we can improve your prep is again, we talk about the look in regards to a lot of it is also mental in
Yeah.
regards
Yeah.
to how that look pertains. If you're really stressed because of your relationship and you're
Mm,
doing prep, I don't care how on point and rigid you are. If you are like stressed all the way throughout, you're probably not going to present a good look on stage as well.
mm,
So again, you got to look at it from that point of view. Improving and working on this thing during prep can actually help your physique as well. That's
mm,
it there. And like giving, I mean, this is a very random example, but let's say you're in a relationship with someone, you're dating, this is that, and it pretty much gets to the point in a breaking point in a relationship during the prep where the partner is like, "Look, I'm gone if you keep going, if you keep acting
mm,
like this." And then you're like, you know what, like Dean was saying, me versus the world kind of thing or whatever. You're like, you know what, you're now a hater. This is that. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go on that stage and I'm gonna win
mm,
just to show you that I can do it. I don't need you. This is that,
mm,
everything. I don't care who you are, man. Like if you even get lucky and win, you're not gonna enjoy nothing of that whole
No,
process.
no, no.
Nothing about that. And if you do, then yeah, you got you're clearly the problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There.
Yeah,
You clearly, I don't think you need to be in a relationship, period. So
no.
there. So yeah, like, again, it's pretty much a lot of those points that Dean said there. And it literally is just okay, these are the things that happen, and I guess again another thing as well is being able to even just talk with your partner and letting them and being able to hear the things that maybe were tough or you weren't
Mm.
really good at and everything because I know for definitely when I was younger, I hated getting feedback. I absolutely
Right.
hated it. To then get it from someone who I'm supposedly care about and cares about me too, and I'm like, why are you saying these things? Like,
Yeah.
should understand. Like this is
Mm.
that. So being able to take that on board and actually really listen and go, okay, right, all right. So then knowing next time I can do this better, I can do that, etc. That these are the key things that are going to help you, moving forward with that. But like I said, if you need any more of a reason to make sure you do, it actually can make you look better on stage.
Yeah. That's so
Like,
true.
dumb it down for some people there because I'm a big advocate of how much it's not just the physical with prep, it's not just the science, it's not everything else. If you're mentally not in the right place as well, it's such a key thing there.
Mm.
Because again, like Anthony's saying, as his coach, people might be watching this saying, "Oh, look, Josh just allows people to eat whatever they want." No, that's not what I'm saying there. Again, Anthony is someone who's very experienced, but also he's being very casual with it, but he's still really on point. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's probably more on point than most people who even don't eat out, that kind of
Mm.
thing. But the other thing for me though is I also know that's helping him mentally as
Mm.
well. He doesn't have to stress about that. That's something that, he's really like, that's cool. I'm really in check with that, that helps him feel better with things, the hormones, everything is just pretty much where it needs to be, in regards to for us to continue with making the progress we need to make, that's it there. And, the random times where we know clearly, the weight spiked up crazy, we're like, yeah, you ate out last night, the sodium, you can't
Mm.
account for it. And we know that sodium has a big effect with him. So
Yeah.
again, we're not going to freak out. Don't have to change anything. Just make sure he like hydrates, and the next couple of days things
Yeah.
come back down, anyways. That kind of stuff. So again, that's the communication with not just your partner, I guess whoever you're working with, and everything there is quite key too. But yeah, it really does tie in with everything you want to be successful with the prep. Outside of the prep, everything like that. Having your partner at that position where it is not a case of where they feel like they have lost you, or
Mm.
a case then you also don't feel like for some weird reason they're on your side or whatever, like that kind of thing. Having it in the place where everything is actually good in the sense of like, yeah, we're okay here. So
Mm.
it's going to help everything that you want out of the prep.
Yeah. Some really good points there. Yeah. I
I've
wanted to, yeah, go on, Dean. Go on.
yeah, I've got a bit of a left turn here, but related, and
Mm.
it's something that you've kind of been touching on, Josh, in terms of the like coach client relationship and maybe potential responsibility as a coach. In that you've probably been there. If I have a client, especially if they're on prep, going through prep, if I have a client who goes for a breakup, I feel responsible in some way where I feel like did I not prepare them enough, or could I have said something to them differently that could have like helped change the situation? And usually I've got a very good relationship with all of my clients, so like really good communication. I know they'll generally let me know what's going on, and you can like get a feel for it. But this this is something that I had a conversation with somebody about a couple of months ago now about coaches, and specifically coaches who haven't gone through a contest prep, putting people through a contest prep. And I think something like this topic lends itself to that type of question in terms of whether it's a good thing or bad thing. Because I think if you haven't gone through a contest prep, yeah, I would say like maybe a photo shoot could prepare you a little bit. But if you haven't gone through a contest prep, I think it's very difficult to then be able to communicate with somebody their expectations or the expectations they should have going through a contest prep, particularly if it's the first time, and then maybe the implications that might have on their relationships. So, what I guess my question would be, what do you think about coaches who haven't gone through a contest prep, coaching people in that situation, and then like specifically with relationships, the potential for like catastrophe in that regard?
That's a tough one. Yeah. I coached clients for the contest for contest a year after I competed, and I'd only done two shows. So yeah, I will say I was pretty inexperienced, but at least I'd done something. So yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to hand this to you, Josh, because this is a tricky one. I'd say they're not going to be in the best position to offer advice for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's what's it called? It this pretty much goes in line with not just those who when it comes to a relationship for the client as well. I think just with everything in general. If you've not gone through the actual experience of what you're supposedly offering a service on, it's very hard for me to say that's fine, you
Mm.
know. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean they can't be a good coach and they probably even improve from it, but it's probably what's going to happen is which will, I'm pretty sure will definitely 100% happen is those first few clients that they're coaching are going to be a learning curve for them.
Mhm.
Mm.
And later on, they will reach that level of where they should be at, where they're going to be a lot better with it and everything. Like Anthony just touched on there. He only started taking people through contest prep, at least after he had done his prep or two beforehand. Even still, like he said, he was still learning as well.
Oh yeah.
And without doubt, he would get better. He was going to get better with it, etc. going on as well. Now, imagine if he had done that before his first season in 2015. What would really happen? It would just be a lot more of a lower starting point in regards to how well he's going to be able to handle things for them, let alone just relationships. And it will only get better as he gets more clients and goes through more experiences, and as it goes from there. And I think this is where, like, I feel like some people do not understand how much I try and simplify when it comes to when you want to work with a coach, that it's like experience is going to be such a key factor. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it really is. It's we know the textbooks, we know the theories, we know the podcasts, we know all this and that, like everything that comes with what can make a good contest prep. But if you've not experienced any part
Mm.
of it, you know, in any sense for yourself, or at least, and then even with clients as well, yeah, a lot of that is you're now going to start learning on the way as it goes.
Mm.
And I think that's why, like, I always tell all my clients who work with me, it's like the best thing you're going to get from me is all of my mistakes. At least you don't have to make them.
Yeah.
And then all the mistakes I've made with my first few clients, you don't have to make them because I should have learned from them as well. That kind of stuff. And yeah, no one's perfect. There's no way I'm going to be able to. I mean, I only started taking someone on prep after three preps myself.
Mm.
Still, till this, if I every time I remember back my first prep on with a client, I still like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Oh my gosh,
Mm.
even this is that. And also in regards to the main topic here, relationships for them, the partner. I didn't really try and go into that at all. I try to keep it to just, I was just like, yeah, this is what we're doing here, the plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, something else going on? All right, no worries. Just still check in, yeah. You know, that kind of thing. I'm trying not to go into that at all.
Mm.
Fast forward, you know, a year or two after my first few prep clients, I started getting more involved in these kind of things. And to the point where my wife would be hearing something and be like, Joshua, you're becoming a therapist or something here. Like, what's with that? Not saying you need to do this as a coach, but it's just the simple fact of I just knew that with myself, I felt a lot more better in of what with what I'm doing, with the fact that I'm trying to also understand what they're going through as well, just
Mm.
understand their day to day. Because again, as I got more experience with this, in not just preps and for myself, but also coaching people through preps, I realized it don't matter. There is no, okay, prep is separate,
Yeah,
life is here. It all just starts getting muddled in. Like it all just literally gets stirred into the same thing. And
yeah.
if I don't have at least an understanding, now again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm here fixing things with my client. No, I problem solve things with the prep. But everything else, I at least try to understand, try and listen, try
Mm.
and also mention. And there might be certain things where, you know, like some of my younger clients where I'm just like, by the way, FY, probably try this, try to do that, do that. Because again, I've experienced those things. I
Mm.
not even do it prep, but even relationships wise. And I'm like, yeah, just try that, mate. This is that.
Mm.
Oh, don't say that. No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. You know, this is that. Don't. It's not about you right now. Just
Yeah.
he just wants to hear this, just like that kind of thing. So yeah, 100% like short answer to your question is no. And it's always been like that for me with not just relationships, with anything else. Like you should, I don't understand how certain people think it's a good idea to work with someone who doesn't have the experience of doing preps, unless of course it's you guys already agreed on, you understand this, like it's a friend who's trying to learn that kind of stuff, or again, you're like, oh, you haven't really experienced prep. Oh, no worries, I'm okay with that. I just feel like I'm gonna work better with you because
Mm,
we vibe, that kind of stuff. That's fine too. But when it comes to someone really putting themselves out there and saying like, I've got this, I've got that, I've got that, but really and truly have no experience in that side of things,
hmm
very hard. Like
Yeah.
very hard to go with that because, like I said, my first prep client, I was like, yeah, don't give me any of that, please. I don't need to hear that. Just
mm,
keep that aside. Even though I've experienced it and everything, but I still was like, I don't know. I don't want to know about that or anything because I was more of the textbook. I was more like the successful content prep, all the workshops I've gone to, everything else. What Anthony had taught me, I was like, no, we do this, we do that. I
mm.
don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to follow this, not
Mm.
realizing, obviously, with more experience, oh no, it affects everything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could
Yeah.
throw that book out the window wherever you're working with. You go if you got, I don't know what else, what's his name, Lane Norton or Cliff
Mm,
Olson or whoever else you're trying to follow, or maybe somebody like from the IFBB guys that you might look up to and everything, Hani Rambod or something like that. Like they might write you the perfect how to get your client to look the best on stage, like step-by-step guide. It ain't gonna do anything for you if you don't understand just anything about your client and
mm.
what they're going through and how much it is going to affect in them being able to actually implement the plan you have in place. Uh, so yeah,
Really
that
good point
I think
there.
that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's all mixed into the same pot, and that is so true. We're all kind of human, and it's not just bodybuilding. There's other stuff going on. For even the most dedicated bodybuilders, there's always something going on. Talking of mistakes, I think this would be a kind of fun thing to delve into as a little kind of side tangent. But is there anything you guys look back on? You think in your early days of prep, you think, you kind of cringe, but you think that wasn't the best. I know there are a few for me. I know in 2015. I skipped on a stag do, which is probably a good thing because a stag do is not conducive to a successful contest prep. Even if you know, even if you stick to things, stick to your diet, you don't want to be doing it on a stag do really. And this was abroad as well. I then didn't go to this guy's wedding because it was very close to my show, and that I regret because that's different. The wedding was in the UK, and yeah, we distanced ourselves after that. And I think I look back at that and I think, yeah, I should have handled that differently. He was a good friend of mine, should have gone to his wedding, and yeah, that was a mistake because bodybuilding was just like we've discussed, it was all encompassing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and other things as well. Like on that same year, me and Sarah went out in London with friends. I was getting tired, so I went back to the hotel room just to sleep. And I think, yeah, that wasn't right. I wouldn't do that now, for example. Um, yeah, that was 100% on me. I'll be curious. Are there any things you look back on in those early preps and you think I didn't handle that very well when it comes to relationships?
I've probably got, I don't want to say countless, but there's a few examples.
Countless. Yeah.
Trying to think of specific ones, but similar to you. Like there was one year in 2017 when I went to a wedding, and I thought I was doing, really going above and beyond just by attending.
Just
But
pretending.
I took my meal prep, and I drove her, didn't drink, which is, but I think that's fair enough anyway. Drove her, didn't drink. I took my meal prep. So, for example, they were serving like they had a meal afterwards. It looked really good as well. It was like a hog roast type thing,
Mm.
and I didn't. When everyone was getting the food, I just went to my car,
Right,
went
right.
to my car, eat my meal prep, and but specifically at that wedding, that wasn't too bad. But I wasn't present. I think I had that kind of like victim mentality where I was like, this is so difficult on me going to a wedding whilst I'm on prep. And
Mm.
like when my partner was trying to talk to me, I was just like, yeah, just like there's pictures at the wedding, and I just didn't smile a single time, which is that's in keeping with me anyway. But maybe maybe I should have smiled for the pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I did go to a wedding as well. Actually, a wedding abroad in 2017, and had it actually after that experience became a bit more flexible with it, and actually had a really good experience. It was in Prague, and it was one of my best friends, very good wedding there. And I did like took myself away from meal prep and stuff like that. And actually, funnily enough, talking about what Josh was saying before about stress management and being flexible, I went into that experience, that wedding abroad. I think it was like three days, 2 nights, maybe around that time frame, and I was like, right, okay, I'm not gonna. Obviously, I couldn't really prep or stay in a hotel and things. So I thought, right, I'm gonna be more flexible with my nutrition. And when I came back, and I think a lot of it was just due to stress management and having a couple of days off plan and things. I wasn't crazy with my food, but I just wasn't like stressed about things. And I kind of went into it without mindset. And I came back, and like my physique drastically changed, even though
Mm.
it should like scale weight things weren't massively different, but like the look was just so much better. And I think, like I said, like drops a lot of stress from doing that.
Mm.
But certainly uh, other times where I've been on, maybe it's somebody's birthday or like a special occasion, and you go somewhere, and again, just not being present. Like one year, I went to a concert, and the a concert. They were seated. They were seated, but you should have been like stood up and like jumping, not jumping around per se, but like, enjoying it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was just like so drained, so I was just sitting down and just like not really enjoying it. I mean, afterwards, it was kind of, obviously a bad conversation was like, there was no point in even going, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there's plenty of examples like that where, again, it teaches you now, or it's taught me now where when I do something, when I schedule something in, like to be really intentional about it and really give yourself like a bit of a pep talk or whatever it might be, but motivate yourself enough so that you can actually be present for it and enjoy it as best you can, and just not make the other person feel like it's sacrifice their experience as well.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. Turning up is not enough. You have to be present. Yeah. Really good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah, a little bit similar there, in regards to like when it comes to going to like some weddings or occasions, that kind of stuff. Yeah, done it all before, but also again, it was key in learning and in regards to also how when it comes to my clients as well, just again when like I'll get a client going, oh, I've got this coming up, I'm dreading it, this is that and everything, because again, it's something I've experienced, done it wrong, done it okay, done it well,
Mm.
again, we've done it so many times now. I can best advise them on, first of all, like realistically, what would you like? How would you see yourself handling this? What would be the best way for you to handle this scenario, kind of thing? That's the way I kind of like try to figure out firstly for them how they'll feel like this would be a great day if I could do it like this, that kind of
Mm.
thing. And then also then me then from my experience just letting them know like just know that you got to do this though, and like the number one thing is being present. Like
Mm.
you said, Dean, like I remember, yeah, first for me in the early days, like whenever I come to a social event or whatever and I'm there, I was like, I'm here. You lot should be grateful. All right. I actually showed up. All
Mhm.
right. You don't understand. Like, I put you here. All right.
Mm.
That's it. Like, how dare you even like you should like no, you're there doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
If you're there and like you said, you're not even smiling in pictures, you clearly don't want to engage in any conversation. Like some people are like, hey, how's it been? This is that. You're that one person where you're like, cool. Like one word answer. And they're like, continue. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. This and there. Like you can't come away from the event and all your partner has heard or anybody else has heard about you was, yeah, that guy was a real douche. Like
Yeah.
he's got problems. Like, is he okay? This is that and everything. Like, it got to the point where like right now, like if I was going into a prep now, them kind of events, what I really want to happen is people be like, oh my gosh, Josh was so great. This is that energy, this is that. Like to that, I want the exact opposite. That's how I approach that now. But I wouldn't know this without the experiences, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've done those kind of things wrong. And that's helped me again being able to like, communicate that to my clients to understand like this is quite important. Okay. Like these kind of things, like you actually gotta be present for it as well. I think one that's a little bit different, I think is quite funny as well, was when I was dating my wife again, because of the mentality of it's me, this is I'm on prep. I'm the priority here, that kind of stuff. Was literally for the 2016, 2017 season, I was doing my cardio. For me, I decided I know that because the way work was, I wasn't self-employed at the time then. With the way work is, I knew I wanted to do my cardio in the evenings. All right, so I'll train in the morning, go to work, come back for work, change, go to the gym just to do the cardio. All right, for the cardio that I do want to do. And then because I was like, let me fit in, because I know I need to fit in time talking to this girl on the phone,
Mm.
I'm going to call her straight after cardio.
Mm.
My goodness, what a terrible idea. Like, who on earth would want to talk to me when I've literally done a full day of prep, of training, eating my low macros or whatever they are, going through work as well, all the stress of work and everything of that there, then the post-workout cardio. And at this point, you can just imagine I am literally like I don't want to say any words, but yeah, I'm like, I've got time between my walk from the gym
Mm.
home. I can squeeze in the call then.
Yeah.
But she can't say I didn't talk to her during prep. I kept it going. She's gonna be like, "Well done. You were still talking. You're the same person." Because before the prep, we always talked every night. Like, it was just normal. Like, at the end of the day, it was weird not to. Like, we're always gonna do that. Um, and literally, first call, like the first time I was trying to do it, my wife's like, "You're right." I'm like,
Mm.
"Yeah, why? What's wrong?" She's like, "Not really saying much."
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "How dare you? Like, this is that." And either I was like, "Look, it's quite cold. I'm walking home. This is that." Yeah. She's like, and I was like, "Oh, you're just being a bit funny." I was like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna go eat soon. I'll talk to you later then." Like, I was just literally so like, "Oh, I don't care. Like, whatever." But then like again, she kept on challenging me a lot more with that, and then I realized, okay, yeah, in future preps, I was like, I can't try and just think about what's good for me here. Like,
Mm.
I got also what will work best for her. If I know I got zero energy after these certain things, maybe best I don't call her then. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I try and actually call her at another time, which I know might not be the best time for me, but it's definitely doable. And it's like I'm dying here, like I'm sacrificing, I don't know, it's not like I'm sacrificing sleep or whatever else. I could call her this time and I could actually have a decent conversation with her,
Mm.
engage in a conversation with her. So yeah, that was one of the funniest things I used to do. I was trying to do in the earlier days, which didn't fly. Didn't work. And I knew for later on, like, I can't be doing that again. Like,
Mm.
no, no chance. And again, it's still quite similar. I guess it's just still down to being present as well. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a common theme in all of these things. Like, we kind of thought we could just get away with not, like, if we're there, we're not there though.
Mm.
And also, like Anthony was saying, which is just not even be there at all.
Yeah.
Well, not even give the effort of trying to do that as well. And I guess that's the key thing there. As much as that person might care about you and love you, it still boils down to you didn't even make the effort.
Mm.
That's that, that kind of thing. And this is why, like I said, it's your kind of what is that balance for you? There are
Mm.
certain things like Anthony said himself there. It wasn't like I didn't do the stag or the wedding. I
Mm.
like it was I could have done one of them, like
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that's there. And realistically, you probably now as well would know I could have managed at least the wedding easily,
Oh
like
yeah, the wedding for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of stuff there as well. I think most of us probably wouldn't choose a stag, but I know
I
some
know.
guys they chose to do the stag, and I'm like, how did
Mm.
you do the stag on prep? Oh no, it's cool because actually I'm really like energetic with my friends. They give me energy.
Mm.
I love
Mm.
that. It's there, and they know I don't drink anyway, so this is there. So it's understanding. Whereas, okay, yeah, if you got some friends who are clearly what all you guys used to do in the past is just absolutely booze out, eat like
Mm.
idiots, and that's the main core of your relationship.
Mm.
And maybe, yeah, you can't really do a stag on prep, that kind of thing there. But either way, it's got to do something. Make the
Yeah.
effort still. There's got to be that. I hate the word, but I guess sacrifice is something people understand better. The reason I
Mm.
hate the word is it just really just makes it seem like you got given up something when
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
you're not. And I think that's something again that Dean has mentioned, which is as you mature, you start to understand these kind of things in life. It's just part of life. Like if you
Mm.
want relationships of any kind in life, it's not about giving up anything. It's just simply like, yeah, you need to make room. That's
Mm.
it. If it was as simple as everybody can just follow exactly how I like to do things, and they can be my best friend, my partner, and everything like that, life would be very different for us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's it there. But we are all different people, so that can't happen. So if someone truly, is like, yeah, that's my friend, there's got to be a reason why, and that's simply because you guys make the efforts of doing certain things, even though you're
Mm.
not exactly the same. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good
again, long
points.
tangent, but again, hope that answers the question from my point of view.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and it's funny the whole stag do thing. I think some guys could and girls could get away with actually doing that and making it manageable. You have a few drinks, maybe you eat relatively healthy, but you still keep things in check. But yeah, if you go out and get absolutely shit faced, then yeah, it's not feasible.
I've,
That's for
I've got
sure.
one story. I'm going to throw someone in under the bus. Do you guys know Ryan Howells at all? Ryan Howell. So I don't know where he lives now, Dubai or somewhere. But he was natural bodybuilder in 2016. I think he won for the BNBF, so the DFAC. I think he won the world's lightweight class, and
Mm,
then in 2017 he competed again. So he was in my weight category in 2017, and we had back-to-back show weeks. We had a BNBF Northern and then UKDFB Northern, and he had a stag do in between,
right,
and
right.
he went like because you won't mind me saying this, his mentality is like all or nothing. So he went all or nothing on the stag do as well, and he still managed to win. But he was like,
Wow.
he was so sharp for the BNBF Northern, and then with the UKDFBA a week later, and he had so much water retention around his midsection. Everywhere else was dialed in, but around his midsection was just good, chalk and cheese difference, I guess. But yeah, he still had enough to win annoyingly. But yeah, he did that, and that's just, some people have got a personality, like you say, and he shouldn't have done that stag do, but he did it, and yeah.
I suppose if he still won, yeah, you could argue that he got to get the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah. So I can't criticize him because he managed to
Although
win.
I think, I mean, I don't know him at all, but I think the thing is, though, I'm pretty sure it was like, I actually don't care what happens at the next show.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be okay with it because
I
I'll
think
rather go all in at the stag. And
yeah.
I think with that mentality, again, he was going to win no matter what. But it just so happened he actually won as well, like the show as well. But whereas I think the main thing here is when you're conflicted, and for example, Anthony knew he probably should have done something, again, because that's
Yeah.
who he is. Whereas if he was the person who, I'm not going to that because I never go to these things anyways. Again, that's different. That's why you always feel like nothing's wrong. I don't feel guilty. And I think again, it always boils down to who you are. Like, no one's asking you to try and be someone different. No one's saying, no, you must go to a stag, you must go to a wedding. If you're not someone normally does that anyways, then okay, that's it. Like, no one's gonna really expect much from you. I mean, the French should still be it's understanding, I guess, because it's the way you've been, that kind of thing. But if all of a sudden you're being this, and then you just decide to be something completely different because you're on prep, again, that's where other people might just be like, I don't know who you are, I don't get it, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Gee, there's a few things I'm reminded of last year. There are times where I'd not be myself with the kids, and it kind of haunts me to this day, where I'd be a bit irritable with Jamie, and he'd say to me or to Sarah, "Oh, is it the low body fat?" And it's like that's like he was 7 years old at the time. I thought I shouldn't be putting that on him. So yeah, if I can go next year without him saying that, I'll be happy. But it's yeah. I think moving on to when it comes to like the whole kid side of things, I think as a parent you just have to kind of suck it up. The kids. It's hard enough for the partner, but the kid is not going to have any idea of what the parent is going through, especially if they're young. So with them, you just kind of have to suck it up. But I think in terms of if we were to summarize things, like advice for anyone who wants to, I guess, make the most of a relationship in prep, what would you guys? I know we've touched on quite a few key points already here. Obviously, communication, making time, like being a bit more deliberate with making time for partners. But how would you guys summarize the whole chat really when it comes to what makes managing or how would you manage a relationship in prep?
I've got a fairly short answer, and it's actually just repeating what Josh said before. In that, or expanding on what he said before, in that you need to understand. So ideally, you're gonna have been with that person for a little while. It's not like, right, okay, we've been together 2 months, I'm gonna do a prep. So you need to generally understand their personality and what things they prioritize in a relationship, and maybe what things they don't prioritize. And then maybe when you're trying to structure your prep or structure your relationship with your partner in that prep, try and really identify the areas or the things that you can put more stock into, and which ones you can pull away from, and then so you can conserve your energy hopefully fairly well. And yeah, just like I say, just not letting go of the important things to them, and making sure you're still doing those important things to them. And also what we've all kind of said is it's not just about doing that thing as a checkbox, but being present with it as well. So it's not like we said about the wedding example, like it's not like I turn up to a wedding, so I've done my job, I can just relax now. That's the bare minimum, and then you need to actually then be present and do all the things you would normally do. And I always, when I go into preps nowadays, and even with dieting phases and things as well with clients, I try and say one of the, not necessarily successes in that you need to accomplish this, but one of the successful signs of a prep or a dieting phase is, unless you told somebody you were dieting or on prep, they wouldn't notice about it. And obviously, if they've seen the transformation, the physical transformation, they're going to notice, because I always get told to look homeless and stuff like that. But if you can, like, from a behavior point of view, if they cannot really identify or distinguish that you're on prep or in a dieting phase, then you're doing something right. So try and act in that way as well. So be like, right, okay, in this situation, if I didn't want to look like I was on prep, how would this look? Within reason.
That's a great point. Yeah, a couple of things there. Because actually, it reminds me, I think it was I heard Matt Ogus on a podcast. I think it was with Steve Hall on Revive Strong, and he did like he called it a ghost prep, where he basically prepped and didn't even tell his wife about it. And I thought, yeah, that's bold because I mean he gets very lean as well. Another thing you mentioned as well, and I think expanding on the communication thing. So I know we've all chatted about that. Like it is so key. I think it'd be a good idea to actually, for the person who's competing, to chat to your like significant other and ask them to call you out. Basically, call, if you're being a bit of a dick, say, let me know how my behavior is. I'm lucky that Sarah's quite expressive and introspective, and she'll let me know, if I'm being, yeah, not the best husband. And I think, because otherwise, yeah, they're just going to bottle up their feelings, and yeah, it's the cracks could potentially start to show. So I think encouraging that communication like both ways is really, really a good thing as
Mhm.
well. But yeah, yeah. What about you, Josh? How would you summarize? How would you summarize this?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've covered, I think you both have literally just covered most of it when it comes to summarizing it. So I'm not going to go too much on that there. I think though, the only thing I'll add is, yeah, it literally is that again, how intent you want to be on working on it. In regards to when you're doing that prep, is it something you really want to work on? Making sure that the relationship doesn't seem to like it doesn't look like it's taking a big dive just
Mm,
because you went on prep. Again, I've like for example, I'm one of those people where like you guys have just kind of mentioned there. I don't know about not telling my wife that I'm on prep, like definitely no there, no about that ghost prep. But I always, ever since my first prep, I have always I just prep. I don't there is no day one, day two, day three. This is that.
mm,
I'm not one of those people anymore. I realized after my first prep, I'm not that guy anymore. Why? Because again, like Anthony mentioned before, for me, it actually puts pressure on me.
yeah.
And some people might be like, what kind of pressure? Pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. All this kind of fancy stuff. Use it. No, no, no. No, no, no. It's just unnecessary for me. Like, it's not something I actually care about, but it's something I thought you need to do for social
Mm,
media purposes, that kind of stuff. To the point where, like, even like when I was working in the gym, that kind of stuff, I was a week out, and some people were like, "You're looking very different. Are you actually on prep?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm on prep. I'm 1 week out." They're like, "Since when?" Da, da, da. Like,
mm,
and I was just literally not because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely not telling anyone. No, I was just like, this is the way I want to do it,
yeah.
And I feel like that's another thing that just helps in regards to like when it comes to relationships as well is, if you can just make things feel like it's nothing's really changed, like that is a key thing, when it comes, to making sure that it doesn't affect your prep as well, or and vice versa affects your, relationship and that kind of thing. And that's the mentality of the like, I want it to not look like something is really, really challenging. Like just put it this way, like you said, what's it called, getting your partner to call you out and stuff like that. I even go as far as for me, what I like to do is I'm almost looking out in. Like I put myself in a TV show where let's say some people are actually judging our relationship,
Mm,
like how would they judge it, when we went through the prep? What would happen? Would it clearly be one of those cases where the whole world is against me because I'm that douchebag of a
mm,
partner who absolutely did not show any value to my amazing wife and she was doing all these things and that time when she was like, is there any way I can help? I was like, shut up. No, you don't
mm,
understand my pain. I gotta stop there. I try to make it all about me, that kind of thing. So like again, maybe I'm just weird like that, but that's the way I like to take it on in preps. I'm like, how can I make sure it doesn't look like this? Because
mm,
why? It's important to me.
yeah.
Not because I want to make it look like this for other people or for social media. No, because again, no one knows. Anyway, it's for just me and her, and possibly, hopefully with kids in the future and everything like that. How much would can I make sure that it doesn't like this is not what happens? And why? Because that is what's really important to me. And again, just like how like Anthony, like you said, it's kind of haunts you. Some people hear that thinking, man, Anthony, it's nothing. But
Mm,
because it means a lot to you. Like,
yeah.
Jamie saying that as a joke was not, you were like, no, 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 no.
Mm,
That can't be happening. That kind
no,
of
no.
stuff. It means something to you. So
Yeah.
for there is no way I'm gonna be like this is not happening again, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that's where the intent comes from. And that's why I gotta go back to what I said previously, which is if it doesn't feel like that for you, please understand that maybe you don't really care that much in
Yeah.
regards to how much it can affect your
Mm.
relationship. And with that in mind, then yeah, this whole podcast, all you should be taking from this is I don't really, it doesn't bother me. Like I'm in
Mm.
a relationship where I don't think I need to really take these key points and use this, use that, blah, 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 because actually I'm not too bothered. I'm pretty much kind of not in a relationship. I'm on paper I am, but I'm not that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that case, yeah, do whatever because you really is just you. It is you on the prep. You're not doing anybody else. No one else is doing it with you. That kind of stuff. Whereas for those who are clearly in a relationship that they care about, they're really committed to and everything, yeah, it's understand the fact that it's not just you.
Yeah, yeah.
All those people too, that really goes to you. They're doing it with you. And it's like, yeah, how best can I make sure that it's like not affecting that in a negative way?
Mm. Yeah. No, amazing points. Yeah, I think we've kind of covered everything. I know we had some extra things, but I think, yeah, that kind of covers everything. Dean, is that all good from your end? Did you want to any final
I
thoughts?
guess the final closing thing, just from what Josh said, is
Mm.
this is more advice to myself, maybe my younger self would be
Mm.
try and take the positives of being in a relationship in prep. In that, for example, where I might be more leaning towards being really rigid with things. Sometimes,
Mm.
well, not sometimes, but having a partner in prep makes me be more flexible, and again, makes me enjoy it a bit more and manage my stress a little bit more. So it's not all negative. Like it's not a negative thing to be in a relationship in prep. So try and like lean into those positives as well.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a really good closing thought. Yeah, and I think more than anything, it is experience. I think the more preps you do, the better you get at navigating relationships. And I think, yeah, you're going to make mistakes along the way. That's the thing. But I think,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to learn. You got to learn from the mistakes. Luckily, all of us can look back at things and think, we messed up there, but then we redeemed ourselves and we've got better and better over time. But no, this was a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me for this chat. It was a good one. And yeah, thanks guys for watching and for listening. We will see you next time.